This 2022 season has been pretty chaotic for tennis fans. From Serena and Roger's sudden evolution to Novak facing a controversial time with his vax status and Rafa becoming a new dad, it has been pretty eventful. However, it looks like the new year has more of it in store for us. Today, let's talk about the United Cup official draw, Australia to meet Powerhouse rivals in Sydney. Without further ado, let's dive in. Starting with the draw. This year's United Cup has an all-star cast, and the draw ceremony held on Thursday afternoon sorted the participating nations into groups in several major Australian cities. Mixed-gender teams will compete in the United Cup, an annual tournament from Thursday, December 29th to Sunday, January 8th, 2023, in Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney. Team Greece, with world number 3 Stefanos Tsitsipas and Maria Sakkari, were the top seeds when entries from the top 16 nations were released earlier. So here's what we know so far. Group A includes Greece, Belgium, and a third team, whose identity has not yet been revealed. All matches in this group will be in Perth, so there's a bit of mystery there. Moving on, Group B comprises the world number 1, Iga Świątek, and world number 11, Hubert Hurkacz. They'll be leading Poland and will be playing with Switzerland and another team that hasn't been revealed yet. Group B will be playing in Brisbane. Next, Italy, a growing tennis superpower with a world number 16, Matteo Berrettini and Martina Trevisan, will be in Brisbane, along with Brazil and Norway from Group E. Not to forget, the United States is seeded third and has tons of talent, including third-ranked Jessica Pegula, 9th-ranked Taylor Fritz, 11th-ranked Madison Keys, and 19th-ranked Frances Tiafoe, who is a dynamic showman. With Fritz and Tiafoe on board, this is definitely one team everyone needs to watch out for. The United States, as the top-ranked team in Group C, along with Germany and the Czech Republic, will be traveling to Sydney to compete. Up next, some deets on Rafa and Kyrgios. Curious where Nadal and Nick Kyrgios fit into all this? Well, the great Rafael Nadal will represent Spain with world number 13, Paula Badosa, in Sydney. Also, Nick Kyrgios, Ayla Tomljanovic, and Alex de Minaur will wear green and gold to represent the host country. Group F's top seeds in Perth are WTA Finals champion and world number 4, Caroline Garcia, and Arthur Rinderknecht of France. If you think this lineup is amazing, wait till you hear the rest. Petra Kvitova of the Czech Republic, Alexander Zverev of Germany, Stan Wawrinka of Switzerland, Belinda Bencic of Switzerland, and Casper Ruud of Norway are also taking part. The top 5 combined entry nations, top 6 WTA qualifying countries, and top 5 ATP qualifying countries have all been accepted into the tournament. With all that talent on board, we're super excited to see how the event turns out. On Monday, November 21st, depending on the rankings released on that day, the 2 remaining nations, 1 ATP and 1 combined entry, will be accepted into the tournament. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, here are some more details about the United Cup. The United Cup is a joint ATP and WTA tournament hosted in Australia and worth up to $15 million in prize money and 500 ATP and 500 WTA ranking points, respectively. Between December 29th and January 4th, 2 groups of 3 different countries will compete in a round-robin style in the cities of Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney. There are 4 total matches in a tie, 2 singles for men, 2 for women, and 1 mixed double. The group winners will play each other, and the city champions will advance to the United Cup Final 4 in Sydney, which will be held from January 6th through 8th. The 4 members of the quartet will be the team with the next best performance in the group rounds. Stephen Farrow, the tournament director for the United Cup, has indicated that the players are enthusiastic about the competition, and the excellent caliber of those who have signed up for the tournament proves it. He also said that they are quite satisfied with the breadth and depth of the teams, adding that tennis fans can expect many interesting matches and a lot of fun to play. The United Cup also marks the return of international tennis to Brisbane and Perth, and we know the fans can't wait to soak up all the the action. All three cities will relish the opportunity to see the world's best players unite and compete side by side as we launch the tennis season globally here in Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney. Following up, some big names will miss. While we have many big shots playing, there are still a lot of players who have opted out of the tournament. Prominent players, including Alcaraz, Djokovic, Goff, Raducanu, and Murray, will sit out the first United Cup. And obviously, we're gutted. Things have been pretty uncertain for Novak Djokovic, so he won't be there. And wait, before you get disappointed in the Serbian king, it's not that he doesn't want to play, it's just that he hasn't heard whether he'll be allowed into the nation, and Serbia isn't even competing. Jeez, if only he'd get the vaccine and call it a day like the rest of us. The man has missed out on so many major events because of his vaccination status, and the trouble just isn't ending for him. Oddly, neither Emma Raducanu nor Andy Murray is participating, given that they previously showed interest in teaming up on the court. Also, we would have loved to see more of Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz, but both of them have been having a hard time with injuries, so we don't really blame them for wanting to sit this one out. After all, we need our young stars to feel their best now that the new season is about to begin. Let's talk about how Rafael Nadal picks Novak Djokovic over Roger Federer as his biggest rival. When we say tennis rivals, the image of the big three jumps automatically in our minds. You too would agree that all of them are at each other's throats, figuratively speaking, on their way to the top. But it looks like we might have gotten some of it wrong. If you thought Rafa and Raj were rivals, unfortunately, we'd like to inform you that you got it all wrong. Recently, the Spaniard came out to talk about who he thinks is his rival, and it's not the Swiss maestro. To prepare for the 2022 ATP Finals, which will be held in Turin from November 13th to 20th, Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic will renew a rivalry that has been going on for almost 16 years. The Spaniard named the Serb in a recent interview as his greatest and most dangerous competitor among current players. He specifically mentioned their heated history of competing against one another and the fact that Djokovic is the player who is closest to him in terms of Grand Slam victories as the two most compelling arguments. Nadal said, "My greatest rival is Novak Djokovic. After all, he is the one who is closest to the number of Grand Slams, with 21. And for all the times we face each other for our history, out of all the active players, my most dangerous rival, without a doubt, is Novak." Not to mention, here's how the rivalry has been going so far. There have been a whopping 59 occasions that the two titans have played each other on tour, more than any other pair of male players. Their 30-29 head-to-head advantage for the Serb is evidence of how close of a matchup they usually have. The crazy thing is that the battle between these two greats to see who can win the most Grand Slam trophies is still heating up, even at their ripe old age. We're just kidding. The big three began the season with a 20 major win tie. With this year's Australian Open and French Open victories, Nadal enters 2023 as the tennis world's top player with 22 career majors. The Wimbledon Championship was Djokovic's 21st Grand Slam victory. Due to his dilemmas during COVID-19, the 8th-ranked Serb was forced to skip the Australian Open and the US Open in 2022. His recent performance shows that it has served as a source of inspiration for him. The 35-year-old had won consecutive tournaments in Israel and Kazakhstan before losing to Holger Rune in a thrilling final at the Paris Masters. Finally, Novak agrees with the Spaniard too. When asked who Djokovic's greatest rival is, the Serbian great said without hesitation, Rafa. As long as Rafa continues playing, he will be Djokovic's greatest competitor competitor. Djokovic used to count Roger as one of his major competitors too, but with him out of the picture, it's just these two now. Novak was even asked to consider if Carlos Alcaraz was his biggest rival, and the Serb still chose Nadal. Well, that one was pretty obvious. Alcaraz is only just starting out, while Rafa has reached the pinnacle of his career, so it's understandable that Novak would want to compete with the best of the best and the most experienced. So, what do you think? That's a wrap for this video. Will you be tuning in to watch the United Cup? Which group are you rooting for? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.